Welcome to Love Liaisons, the ultimate deep dive into the highs and lows and hilarities of modern relationships. I am Catherine.
And I'm Marina, and we'll be your love liaisons. So pour yourself a nice glass of wine.
Or a hot cup of tea, and let's dive in.
So today we're really excited to have Ronit here with us, and she's going to talk about a special community that she created called Mingle. But before we get into that and the need for community right now in our country, I'm curious, Catherine, what are you drinking today?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that because, in the heart of what we're talking about today, I poured myself some tea and it's rose tea, but I actually put in rose and motherwort. So, for all you listeners out there that are like, what is motherwort? This is traditionally used to open the heart and soothe emotional upset. Rose petal or motherwort tea offers warmth and comfort during times of grief or a racing heart caused by stress. So I chose that tea today and it's quite tasty. What about you, Marina? What do you have there?
Well, I wanted to share that they have a couple of pretty good organic and kosher wines at Trader Joe's. So I recently found this one. It's from Chile. It's called Fin Alto Rosso. It's a semi-sweet Cabernet. It's a little bit different than what I usually like because I like a drier wine. But for today's theme, I found a really nice kosher wine. So cheers. And
Cheers.
yeah, and Renee, what about you? What are you drinking?
I'm actually drinking a cup of hot water because I've had my coffee for the day. I can't handle more than one, but the hot water feels really good throughout the day. It takes the place of another cup of coffee when you're trying to limit.
Certainly.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers.
everybody. So, Renee, tell us a little about yourself and how you came to start this Mingle community. We all just went to a party that you hosted that was really great. And I'm curious for our listeners to hear more about your story and how you came to this.
I'm a realtor by trade, and I moved back to the United States a few years ago, and I noticed some anti-Semitism. And it just fell into place that we kind of need a little bit of a community sometimes, especially lately. And it started with just a group of friends and it grew from there. I was shocked to see how much people loved it. We have 350 people so far within just a few months, and it's growing every single day. It opened my eye to a lot of different things, and it just keeps going and it keeps enlightening me. So wonderful.
Yeah, so this is a Facebook group, right? It's called Mingle. What is it called exactly? Mingle Jewish Single?
Julian Singles, yes. It has another part to it that's a WhatsApp group, but it's mostly the bigger portion of it is online on Facebook. And it covers anywhere from Tijuana all the way to Los Angeles. We have people coming to our party from all over Southern California and Mexico.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So, what do you think, Ronit, is the biggest reason why this has such a big impact and why there's a need for this, would you say?
The age group is from 40 to 70. And what I learned that I had no idea about before is that, first of all, again, with anti Semitism outside of us, we like to sometimes be in a safe place, in a community where, we have a lot in common. But what I also realized is that this age group is very unique in that we are having a change of identity and we're just not that ready for it. And this community really helps. It really helps because our parents are maybe not well right now. Our kids don't really want to hang out with us. They have their friends or they've gotten married, moved on, and we're not married. We don't have a significant other. And this group gives us that warmth and the community that we need.
It's this life transition that a lot of people don't talk about. When you're, like you were saying, when oftentimes it's people over 40 that are single, divorced, separated, where you have to find a new identity. And yeah, I actually have a friend in Colorado that's working on this very issue, is helping, especially mothers, women, find their identity of who am I now that my kids don't need me every day, like they used to. And what am I going to do? I mean, a lot of people may have their careers if they're still working, but in terms of who your main social group is, I think that that's really important. So it's not just really a singles dating group. It seems like it's a social group
Right.
for men, for Jewish men and women that are in this life stage to really find community in a safe space.
It goes further than that. Because even when you're thinking about dating, it's introducing something a lot more human than the online dating that we have. I'll use an example. There's a couple that met on online dating and they didn't like each other. They just didn't like their pictures or the description. But later they got to interact in my group in Mingle and they fell in love. They're now getting married. So without Mingle, that might have not happened because there's a lot that we're missing out on when we just focus on the apps.
Mhm.
So here you get to see how that person interacts with other people, with you, how they smile, how they laugh, what they choose to talk about when they're around other people, not just when they're put on the spot talking to just you. It's a whole different world.
And it's interesting you use that example because I personally had a similar experience, but opposite, where I knew a guy for years in person. We were in the same meditation group. We would go to the same Buddhist monastery. As folks know, I'm kind of a Boo Jew. And this guy is as well. He's a Jew. We're both from the same part of the world. Recently, he got divorced. And we did so many things not together, but like the same thing, but we just didn't really like click. There was like really no chemistry. Even as like friends or colleagues, we didn't really have a lot of chemistry. I would always joke like this man could only tolerate talking to me for maybe 1 minute and then he would like run away and talk to somebody else. But then I recently started online dating again and I saw him on a really nice online profile and he had a great profile and online we matched 100%. And literally, if you would just change like the gender, we had the same profile. You know, mindful person looking for kind, compassionate, loves nature, blah, blah, blah. It's like we're the same person online. We matched 100%. But in real life, we have like no chemistry at all. And in fact, I actually just saw him the other night at an event. And of course, I said hi. I've known this man for like 16 years. He reached out to shake my hand instead of giving me a hug.
What
Yeah.
does that tell you? Oh, that's another thing which we can talk about in a minute about how people, whether they're extroverts, introverts, whatever their personality style is, but a lot of people just do not know how to communicate in today's modern relationship world. But I want to take this back. So if we go back to 2020 and we talk about pandemic, this is a huge reason I feel as to why so many people are feeling socially isolated, feeling lonely is because we were locked indoors. I mean, I wasn't. I still went out. Never got COVID. Who knows why, but I still went out. I'm like, I'm not going to let anything stop me. But most people learned how to get along with the comforts of in their home. So that's one thing. Pandemic promoted this social isolation, but also I think, especially living in California, a lot of people, they buy these big homes. They have movie theaters. They have everything they need in the home. So why go out? I'll just have dinner parties at my home with me and my dog. And so it's a big problem. If you go to Europe, a lot of people do not have these big homes. They're forced to go out. They're dancing in the streets, all of these things. Here in the States, especially in the Midwest, your neighbors are far down the road,
Right.
far down the road. So it's really promoting that even more. So that's why I said I want to take this back a bit. So I think that's one of the things that promoted this. I also think this whole $1 billion industry of video gaming. I can't tell you how many men will tell me, oh, I love to game. And I'm thinking, you're like 55. But it's a thing. And I'm not necessarily judging it, but it's just not what I'm looking for. I have a son that likes to do video games, and I wouldn't date somebody that's 22 or 21 years old. I'm looking for someone that can find other things, but it's $1 billion industry for a reason. And this is promoting people do not know how to act socially, and also finances. I think finances is another big thing. I know I don't go out as much because I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to spend $60 on a dinner and it's a salad. So things have just gotten really, really expensive. So I think there's a lot of factors. But if we go back to why this is happening, I think that's a big thing. Those 3 or 4 things that I mentioned are what's contributing to it. What do you think?
Let me just chime in because there's this wonderful article from the Atlantic that I shared with you recently, and it was a whole issue called "The Antisocial Century," talking about just these very things. How here in the U.S., not even just starting COVID, COVID was basically a major turning point where a lot of people got comfortable being isolated because we were forced into it. But that it's still continued. It's continued to today, to 2026, people are still preferring to be alone, to go get takeout instead of go sit in the restaurant, to go watch Netflix and chill instead of going to the movie theater, and really preferring their own company. And even instead of like fear of missing out, like the FOMO, there's this new trend of people just wanting to cancel plans and to be home alone, safe, with their pet, with their Netflix, without any anxiety. And it's leading people into this isolationism, this personal isolationism. So, yeah, Renee, how are we combating?
Actually see a lot more than just that. I see a culture where we're afraid to touch. They did put a little bit of a fear in all of us. So people are not doing things the same way they used to do. For instance, we used to flirt. People don't flirt. I mean, in public, I remember men staring at you and smiling at you, and a lot of relationships started that way. But nowadays, think about it. If somebody stares at you and smiles, you're going to think he's creepy. And I've actually heard this. We don't hug as much, we don't touch as much. And in my group, what really does it for all of us, I have to say, I put a lot of old fashioned things in there. Like we hug each other. I go up to people, I hug, we take pictures, close. The other thing is a lot of things have become taboo to speak of. So within the group, we talk very freely. We're okay talking about certain things that in the outside people don't talk about. So we're careful, we're respectful of each other's feelings, but we discuss things. And there's a lot of different things that have changed in the last few years. And it makes it very difficult, but I would love to just bring us back a little to the natural way that things are usually done, especially with love and chemistry and whatever. Because when you're going online on a dating site, you're just putting a few things. And we're constantly evolving and discovering things about ourselves. Maybe those few things are not as important as you think if you meet the right person.
So I just want to say, and I think it's so true, and I was at your event, and thank you so much for putting that on. And I think you saw firsthand my personality. I definitely am an extrovert. I am a hugger. And I realize people aren't like that. And for me, it's a total turnoff if I'm interested in men. It's a total turnoff if a man can't even ask me for my phone number, can't even, but it goes beyond that. Now that I listen to what you're saying, I think I need to be a little bit more sensitive. And maybe since I am the extrovert, talk to them a little bit more before just going, okay, it's obvious he's attracted to me. Why did he not just take down my phone number? When I literally said, would you like my phone number? It's like, I'm pretty, I'm pretty, like, and I'm thinking it shouldn't be this hard. And you're absolutely right. I don't remember it being this way. I never had a gentleman ghost me. I never had any of this. And I'm finding this more and more. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Is it just because
Man,
you're a little bit older? Do I not still have that right stuff? Do I not? And I'm thinking, no, this isn't about me. And for all you listeners out there, don't change for a man, don't change for a woman, be you, but grow and add. But going back to the whole loneliness, I think there's two parts to this. Yes, there are the people that have succumbed to the whole, what I'll call pandemic complexity, right? Where they're like, okay, now this is our lives, and they're having trouble getting back out there. But there are generally people who really do want to meet people, who really feel isolated, who don't feel safe. So these are a lot of components. So what can we do to help people feel more safe? Because even at the event, I felt like if I didn't go up and like really just put my arm around another lady or something like that, I'm thinking she probably would have just been sitting there. So how do we help people not to change anyone's personality, but how do we help people feel more safe and actually move forward beyond? Because at the end of the day, we only can have so many events. People have to get to a point where they feel comfortable, men and women alike, to be independent and to branch out. And that's my fear, is just we've lost a lot of social skills. I don't know. What do you think?
for me, what I do, I don't know if you noticed at the event, I was going around. First of all, people tell me, oh, I have a crush on this person. I'll do a little magic there. I admit it. I can't believe I'm admitting to this. I do a little magic, but I also will see the person who's sitting by themselves and I'll bring them over to another person who's sitting by themselves. So I get them to mingle a little because we're learning not to do that. And it's a shame. So people are starting to do that. And the fact that within Facebook or on the side, we have a chat that we mingle at anyway. We talk. There's a lot of people who want to do that and they do want to talk and stay social. We mingle and chat 24/7. Some people don't like that, so they're only on the events side of it. They kind of get to choose. But I do notice, and this is something I've noticed since COVID, is that you and I, we're extrovert. So we seek it out. We go crazy if we don't talk to somebody for a few days. I go crazy. I don't know about you. I go
I don't.
completely cuckoo and I don't get to be social for like 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, I got to get out. But those who are complete introvert, there's a danger in that too, because they go deeper and deeper in their own world and it's very hard for them to come out. So I think remaining social is a very important thing for everybody, even if you don't crave it.
So I want to chime in as an introvert. So I really am an introvert. I've done personality testing, and actually, one of the highest characteristics that I score on consistently is introversion. So, really, what that means is that I get energetically burnt out with too much social interaction, and I need to recharge alone. And I thought I was weird growing up. Like, I'll go and hide. I'll go to the bathroom when I don't even have to pee just to like close the door and be like,
Oh, wow.
that's like
Peace. You want peace.
no, I need to recharge. I don't feel at war or attacked when I'm in a group of people. But yeah, I did go to the bathroom even at the event. I think I went to the bathroom 3 times. I do not have a bladder control problem. I don't know, it depends quite yet. But what I do need is to just like, and, and I could just say that in my life, I get adopted by extroverts. So, Catherine, you adopted me for this podcast. Last year, you literally talked to me about it at Chinese food for the Not Christmas party. You adopted
Yes.
me,
But I
and I
gotta
get
say,
adopted.
Marina, you didn't seem like an introvert at the party. Maybe it's because I
I
said,
know.
sit down, my boots are killing me, take over. But you were going, you were telling people about secure attachment style, and you were on fire, baby.
That's what I thought.
Well, so I need to explain that I do not have anxiety problems. I do not have social anxiety. And I get energetically depleted from too much social interaction or being on too much, especially with a lot of people. And this is an issue, but I get adopted by extroverts. One of my best friends, she's an extrovert. She actually just called me this morning. She's like, Marina, I'm back from my trip to Germany. What's up? What's on? When are we going to get the kids together? Blah, 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 blah. And that's just and Catherine, you met her. She did our pictures before.
Oh,
Um,
yes, yes.
so yeah, I get adopted by extroverts.
I get that too.
Yeah.
The opposite. All
So
my red friends, so I get it.
so kind of knowing that, and there are people because I don't struggle with anxiety. It's more of just that energy depletion, and I'm also more of a mindfulness oriented person that I like the more quiet, meditative, contemplative aspect. But I can understand what it might be like for somebody who is anxious. So even at the last party, I noticed a lot of people didn't really get a chance to open up and share their three turn ons or turn offs for dating. So I physically went up to them and said, I want to hear what you have to say. Even if it's too loud, we'll try to hush people, but I want to hear. And sitting with them and giving them like an amplification for their voice helped them when I said, I want to hear it. So I think, yeah, we oftentimes may need to buddy up to or adopt an introvert, especially an introvert that has some anxiety, some social anxiety.
Listening to you speak, I thought of something because there's something called like big pals. And that's what we could be, pair an extrovert with an introvert, let them hang out. And I think there'll be that balance there. I think that would be beneficial. But bringing this back to how can other people how can faith based organizations, nonprofits, community leaders work together to help people that are feeling like this sense of loneliness and maybe unworthiness or just being socially isolated. So what can community leaders do you think to really help pivot this?
First of all, we're in a different kind of place as Jews. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and it kind of portrays us in a bad light. And we're getting a lot of reaction that we didn't necessarily see immediately in our last few years before all this started. So the community makes you feel like a safe place where you can open up, where you can be who you are. And you don't have to hear the negativity and think about how to react towards it. You don't have to react. Everybody's like you. So I think that's important. I'm not saying that you should isolate the rest of the world. For a few hours a week, you get to hang out with some people that are like minded. And actually, in my group, it's not 100% Jews. We have one or two people who have asked me to join us just because they have a love for Jews. And I think it's so beautiful, actually. And they're so open to us. And one of them didn't really know that much about what we were going through. She just sees both sides. And as she came in and she heard a few people speak, she was like, my goodness, I had no idea that your community is going through this. So it's actually doing a lot community wise. But we're all like the same age. We're not just all Jewish. We're all the same age. So there's a lot of different aspects that feed into it.
I think a lot of people just in the US and the world don't realize what a small minority we actually are. Like, how small is it? It's less than 1%. It's a lot less than 1%. It's like 0.2%. 15 million out of the 8 billion humans on
But we've made a lot of noise.
Yes, we've made a lot of impact in the world. And I can really attest to the struggle of interfaith dating, interfaith friendships. And, myself, I mean, I have a son that is the product of interfaith, interracial relationship. My son is Black and Jewish, and he really identifies as Jewish. And I do date people that are not Jewish, but I want them to be friendly. And I've had experiences, believe me, in the last 2 years of dating people that they're intelligent. They work with people, they work in like social work fields, education fields, and yet they have fallen prey to this anti Zionism, anti Jewish and anti Zionism, which I think they go hand in hand. And I've been forced to have conversations with them. And sometimes they just really don't understand. Like, they don't understand. Maybe they haven't. I've had men tell me that I'm the first Jewish person that they really knew was Jewish. They
Oh,
know
wow.
Adam Sandler on TV is Jewish singing the
Wow.
Hanukkah song, but I'm the first person. And you know what? Yeah, I grew up in LA. There were like five synagogues within a 10-mile radius, okay? But people from other places that have moved here to Southern California, I've had a few people tell me I'm the first Jewish person that they really knew was Jewish, that they had some kind of like close friendship with, and now they're talking to me and I can tell them what it's like. I think it's important to talk to people.
So that's why I think it's so important to communicate. And a lot of time, people who are anti-Semitic have been kind of brainwashed. They don't want to hear it. They'll shut you down. But the conversation is important because a lot of social media misinformation out there are lies. They're not really who we are. We're very nice people that like people and we want to help. And we have a lot of medications and technology and things that we've developed that actually help everybody, even our enemy. Like, it's important that we speak, I feel.
So, what I'm about to say, I know is controversial, but I mean, I am a Libra, just like Marina is. We actually have the same birthday,
Oh,
Ronit. I don't
really?
know if you know that.
Wow.
Both boy moms, same birthday, all of that, Ukrainian. But I've had a lot of people say that because of what's happening in Israel and they don't like what's happening, that they are moving into a different direction. So you can't like lump everybody, just like you couldn't in any Christianity, any religion or group of people. You can't just lump them all and just label them. You should never do that. Just like you wouldn't lump all the men in the world and be like, all men are players. No, you can't say that all women are this. Like, you can't do that. And so I think this comes back to what I always say, being kind. And I know I was posting on social media some of the things that I felt, and I had to stop because I was getting, even like my blood pressure was getting raised with some of the responses. And I would reach out to my more religious friends saying, you probably know more about this than I do. You grew up in Israel, this and that. And basically, I was surprised by their responses because they said something like, look, Catherine, post all you like, but when it's affecting your health, your mental health, and your blood
Yes,
pressure
that's
is
true.
going up and anxiety, she says, because sometimes no matter what you say, what you do, they're already brainwashed. And let's just leave that word out, brainwashed, right now. They just see what's happening and what the news is presenting, and they just don't agree with the politics in Israel, which no country has perfect politics until the United States.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's not
Yeah.
get too much into that, but that they just see what's happening in Gaza, this and that, and they're like, no, I'm not going to support anything that has to do with Israel, and therefore I'm not going to support any Jews. And it becomes like people are not being kind. It's the other day I went to go feed the homeless. I didn't feed the homeless that are Jewish. I
Right.
didn't even ask them their religion. I do this every year. Why? Because it's the right thing to do that I want to do. And so it's going back to doing unto others as you would have done unto
Right.
yourself. Bless my mother, who's no longer here. She would always say, treat people how you want to be treated. So even if whatever your views are on what's happening in the Middle East or anywhere, I mean, look at what's happening in Ukraine, look at what's happening in Africa. I mean, I could go
Right.
on and on and
Absolutely,
on here,
absolutely right.
but I mean, if I had a person come up to me that's Palestinian or whatever, I would have a conversation with them. I'm not gonna hate anyone. I'm not gonna, you don't know. And so that's
Right.
the whole thing where I feel very disconnected is when I see people spitting on Jews, saying these things. It's like, what did I personally do to you? Why did you just spit on me because I have a Star of David around my neck or whatever it is? Like, would you like to have a conversation with me? Would you like to get to know me better and what I believe in? Like, we are human beings. So,
Mhm.
where did we get away from treating people as human beings and lumping everyone into this whole sum? That's my problem.
What makes it extra hurtful is that Judaism is very unique. It's a unique religion because it's not just a religion, it's a culture. Other religions are not that way. We feel a certain unity. Some of us don't believe in God. Some of us are atheists. And some of us are like you, Marina. You have some beliefs that go into another religion, but we all love being Jewish. We feel a connection of that Judaism. People don't really understand that. And the people who don't really want us to live, they start playing with psychological games saying, you're not Israeli, you're a Jew. I'm okay with you if you're a Jew, you're not Israeli. We're all Israeli, really. In my world, we're all Israeli because once you run away from a country and Israel was there to save you, even though you weren't born in Israel or you didn't live in Israel, you understand that you're more.
I have a question, and this is for either you, Ronit, or Marina, and you may not have an answer, but I ran into somebody, I'm not going to name names. And once again, I'm a Libra, so I always listen to all sides, and then I go home and I think about
And you're
what they
like,
just said. That they said because they don't agree with what's happening in Israel and the killing of everyone in Gaza and this and that, they understand what happened on October 7th, all of that. And for those of you listening that don't know what happened on October 7th, it was almost like the next Holocaust. And this is what's happening all over the world, not just in the United States, where there's a lot of anti Semitism. Some people call it Jewish hate going on. As Marina mentioned, we are a very small percentage of the world already. And so we have to protect ourselves. But they basically said that because Netanyahu, who's the prime minister of Israel, made a comment saying that basically he represents all the Jews, meaning Israel, that she immediately took down her mezuzah off her door because she's like, I do not support that.
wow.
She did all this, and I didn't know how to respond because everybody is entitled to live their lives the way they want. But she's like, no, I don't agree with what's going on, in Israel and Gaza. Netanyahu does not own me. This is what she's telling me. I'm taking down my mezuzah, anything that has to be Jewish related because of the comment that he made. She's like, no, I don't agree with this at all. And I just didn't even know how to respond.
I have a very good response for her. She lives in the United States of America.
Mhm.
And for her lifetime has been peaceful. I'm a Persian Jew. I had to run away from Iran. A member of my far family was hung for being Jewish, and we had to run for our lives. Israel sent airplanes into Iran. Iranian Jews piled up on top of each other, and they got us out as quickly as they could. To that, I say, even if I'm not Israeli, I'm Israeli. Now, I would love to tell you a story. I didn't even know this. A cousin of mine who is part of my family is Syrian. They're Syrian Jews. And so at the same time that I was running away from Iran at the age of 9, she was 9 and was trying to run away from Syria. In Syria, if you were caught, running away, and my family were. A few times you were put in jail and tortured. And if they saw your child missing at school, they'd start looking for you and they'd torture you. So her family left her in school and they ran away. And as cruel as it sounds, an Arab man came and took her out of school and he started hiding her from one Arab family home to the other, to the other. This 9-year-old girl is crying. I didn't even know this. When she told me, I was shocked. He was hiding her and she kept crying, I want my parents. And then he kept promising her to see that he would unite her with her parents and kept saying next week, next month, next month. And this turned into months and months. And this little girl was devastated until finally one day he took her to the middle of the ocean. And I think it was Mossad. A Mossad agent came to the middle of the ocean and took her and delivered her to her parents. What am I trying to say here? They protect us. They save us one by one. This little girl, in the big scheme of things, was insignificant, but they care about us. And that's what connects us to Israel. Israel is our insurance policy. So no matter how much you don't like what Netanyahu is doing, he's doing his best to protect us right now. The other thing is we don't really know what their intelligence is seeing. There's, for all we know, there must be something that's growing that they're trying to protect us from. It's pretty obvious at this point. It wouldn't have been so obvious 6 years ago.
I could comment a little bit, Catherine, and on what your friend was saying, in that it's a luxury for her to feel that way. It's a luxury for her living in the US because I wasn't born in the US as well. I was younger than you, Ronit. I was 3 years old when I came. My family defected from, it was a Soviet Union in Ukraine, but it was a Soviet Union at that time. And I heard stories. I was too young. I have no actual recollection of that, of our immigration. But my father told me when we were leaving, when they were in the airport, my father was an artist and he wasn't allowed to take any of his artwork that he made back. They were reclassified as like property of the state or treasures of the state. And he wasn't any famous artist or anything like that, but he just wasn't able to take them. And then he was subjected to a full body cavity search. And they were asking him, okay, Jew, where's the gold? Where are you hiding the gold? Where are you hiding your gold? And he almost missed the plane to
Wow.
leave. So we actually left by plane. And we went to Austria first and then to Italy and waited for a visa to come to the US and went to Chicago. And one of the things that I really understood, also as a mother to a biracial child, is that my family, we gained white privilege when we came to the US. Because back in the Soviet Union, we were dirty Jews. And my mother told me that she was called the bad word. In English, it's kike, but the bad word for Jew in Kiev, in her hometown, all the time. And now, hey, look at me. Unless I tell you, nobody knows I'm Jewish.
I
So
think
it
for
is a
me,
privilege for your friend to pick and choose.
thank you for that. That's really helpful. And I'm sure it's helpful for other people listening. For me, I just don't understand. The way I look at it is I feel like Jews in every industry possible, medical, arts, culture. I mean, we're such a small community, but we have brought so much to the world. You talked to your father was an artist. I mean, just Israel alone, finding cures for things. Some of the things that we use on our cell phones are technology from Israel. So
But
I
we don't
still
have it to ourselves.
I don't understand. I guess I'm still having a hard time understanding why Jews are hated so much and what the fear is. Because usually, rule of thumb, it's either lack of knowledge, ignorance, or they just don't like the settlements that are going on or whatever, or it's one of the oldest religions, right? I mean, Jesus was a Jew. I have a friend who's very religious. She's Christian, and she'll talk about the Judeo-Christian values and all of this. And if you look, I hate to bring this up, but there are a lot of similarities between like the Quran and the Talmud. So, I mean, there's a lot of things, if you go way back, we're actually related. So it's really sad that this is going on. I
Mhm.
don't know what the solution is, but this goes back to how do we resolve this where people are more educated and being more kind? It doesn't even have to be you're Jewish. I just don't understand why so many people are doing this. And one of the things is I asked this person, what do you think would happen if Israel laid down all of its arms? What do you think would happen to the Jewish population?
Would die everywhere. We would be killed everywhere. That you should know that. And not only would we be killed, I truly believe they wouldn't stop at this.
So why?
They would not stop at us. They're going to kill all the Christians too. They have said that they want world domination. This is not to say that all Islamic people are that way, but a lot more and more are being submitting to that because of the internet. So anybody who says this should know that if Netanyahu lays down, it's not going to be pretty for the rest of the world. He's doing everybody a favor. He
So
may not be the favorite prime minister. There might be some things about him that aren't great. All of them have issues. They're all human, just like all of us. But in the big scheme of things, y- sometimes you have to have wars. Sometimes you have to kill other people for the betterment of the rest of the world.
So I think
Well,
that a lot of people don't understand that we're living in a time in history right now. And if you have knowledge of past history, ancient civilizations, people have heard of the Roman Empire, the sun never set on the British Empire, but they're not opening their eyes to see that there is an Islamic empire. It is an empire. And there really is, and, Israel is one of the missing puzzle pieces of completing this empire within the Middle East, and that's why it's so important.
It's not just Israel. It's not about Israel. I don't think it's about Israel. They've already said many times in many different places that they want to turn the entire world. And they've already done that in many countries. They killed Christians. And I really do think that once upon a time, an empire would just take over the areas immediately around them. But right now, because of the internet, they're able to hit a lot bigger areas. It should be very easy for them to take over the whole entire world if they focus on the internet. And they are doing that. They're brainwashing. I don't want to say the word brainwash, but I can't help myself. It's brainwashing. When you're not able to see common sense because you've been fed lies, that's brainwashing.
I want to bring this back to the whole reason why so many people in the Jewish population that are in their 40s and up feel this isolation, especially now with so many people protesting, and they're not peaceful protests. A lot of them are very violent, and they're even violent towards our police officers. But moving forward, bringing this back to the whole loneliness and social isolation, I think a lot of people, they're so livid, even the people that are educated, because they're like, why are so many people in Gaza being killed? And so, when I think of an educated answer, I have to really pause because I don't necessarily agree with it either. But I always go back to what is the alternative? Who's going to help? So if we just leave it alone and let the Houthis, Hamas, all these people just continue, and then there'll still be some people like this out there, no matter if you kill every last one. It's going to be a problem. Like you said, Ronit, it's not just for Jewish people, for other people. I mean, they are killing their own people. But for all those people out there that are now against Israel because they're like, look, there is a genocide. This is not a war. This is a genocide. This is a war, and it's going to continue to be a war
It's a
against
genocide
humanity.
to us, not
So it's going to be a war against humanity is basically what it's going to be. And so they need to see the bigger picture. They're just seeing, oh, all these people are dying. Well, you know what? There's a lot of people dying in Africa. Look at what's happening in Ukraine. But guess what? Are people protesting that? No, it's because we're Jewish. If we go back to, what happened with Hitler and all of this, and people, are raising their arm and da 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 da. A lot of them didn't know. They're like, oh, he's just charismatic. He's this and this. And then all those people that died, all those Jewish people and some non-Jewish people that weren't of that white Aryan race were murdered. But the thing of it is, we could 100% get back to that if people don't start to understand why Israel's doing this. Do I agree with the amount of what's happening? Do I think things could have been different about this? But I'm not president. I'm not prime minister. I wouldn't want that role. We don't know everything that's going on. And I haven't been to Israel that many times. I've only been to Israel 3 times. I was very close last year because I was going for a wedding very close to where October 7th. I was very nervous where October 7th was. That's where they chose to have the wedding. And I was scared because you heard the noises with the rockets going off. And I'm like, what do I do? And it's just go back to bed, go back to bed. But it's like people are out there, still enjoying life. And if people go there, they'll get a different perspective because there are Muslims, there are Christians, there are Jews all together, all working together. There's so much that people don't understand, but the
right.
main fear for the Jewish population right now and why they feel so isolated is because people are not supporting them. People are not being nice. People are protesting. People are literally killing. Look at what happened in Bondi. I mean, literally killing. And this is why this has to happen. Or else, if we just fall blind to it and just turn our cheek, then what does that say? What does that say about us as humanity?
We have to give some power to the idea that we don't have to explain why we need to be alive. It's tiring to have to explain common sense to people, and it's very tiring. And the fact that, there are lies out there. And by the way, I want to mention that these three religions are not the only religions in Israel. There's also the Druze, and everybody's protected equally. We don't protect one group over the other. A lot of people don't realize that when you go in Israel, you go on the bus, everywhere you go, you have everything written in three different languages: Hebrew, then Arabic, then English. So there's so many things that people just don't know. And maybe they should travel there before they make their decisions. But in the big scheme of things, I'm tired of having to explain why I should be alive. And the other thing is, with the Holocaust, I mean, we all know the Holocaust was bad. We learned this in some of our schools. The Holocaust was bad. It was extremely cruel. It was the most cruel thing that happened in history. And as Jews, we have a rule: it will never happen again. We will not allow it to happen again. So if we have to protect ourselves by killing others, then we'll have to do it. And I don't apologize for that because I don't like to kill and I don't like to see anybody dead. I don't like to see a Palestinian child dead, but their own parents are not protecting them. They're putting them in harm's way. So my responsibility lies to my own children. My children come first. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna apologize for that.
It's evident, I think, from hearing all of this, why it's important to have a safe Jewish community like you've created, coming back full circle to this. And that you can see why Jewish singles, especially grown people that understand, that really have a knowledge of history and have an understanding, many of whom have immigrated here themselves or their families have immigrated here themselves, not young people or college students, but grown-ups like us. A lot of people are scared and are nervous about going outside. And I think that's actually the goal, to intimidate us into hiding
Right.
again. There's so much that's devastating that's anti Semitic going on. But there's a particular story recently about a house in Los Angeles that had a lot of decorations for Hanukkah. Inflatables, stars, menorahs, like people decorate for Christmas or for Halloween. Well, you can decorate for Hanukkah as well. All this stuff is on Amazon. And this house was targeted and it was firebombed because it had all of these Jewish Hanukkah decorations. And that just really hurt me so much because a few years ago, when this war with Gaza and Israel started up again, I like decorating too. I was asking my son, should we get an inflatable for Hanukkah? And in particular, there was this cute one I saw on Amazon. It was called a Menorahsaurus. It was a T-Rex holding a menorah. I mean, it's really funny. So I have inflatables for Halloween I put up, and I asked my son, yeah, this is so cool. And it was on sale. Should we get it? And he was like, Mom, do you really want everyone to know that we're Jewish? And he actually said to me, this was
Wow.
like, this is what, like 2 years? How long has this been going on with Israel? Like 2 years. Yeah. He said to me, what if somebody does something to hurt us? I live in San Diego. And my son, this was 2 years ago at 11 or 12, was like, what if somebody does something to hurt us? So there was no Menorahsaurus. Like, I cried, not just for myself, I cried for him that my Black and Jewish son literally said, what if somebody tries to hurt us? Because I put an inflatable Menorahsaurus in front of my house.
So I just want to comment on that because I think that's where our personalities are a little different. I think if I were to say that to my son or to really anyone, if my sister wanted to do that in front of her house or whatever, I would say, let them come after us. You know what? If it's our time, it's our time. Like anyone who knows me, I would say I'm a pretty strong person and I'm not going to let anybody take away my life, the way I'm doing it. And that's ultimately what they want. They want to put fear. So this goes back to the social isolation, feeling unsafe. You know what? Even in pandemic, I went out, but that's my personality. So there's a lot of people out there that don't have that and they really, really are living in fear. So what I say to these people, it's hard and it's taking the first step forward every day. But think about, if you have to think about what would Kat do, whatever it is, but think about it. You know what? I am strong. I'm proud to be Jewish. I am born Jewish, or if you converted, whatever it may be, never let anyone, a man, a woman, another religion, another ideology, whatever it is, take away your values, take away who you are. The moment that you do that, it's like you got to start back from scratch. So it's like people who go out on dates and they try to be someone that they're not because they're like, oh, well, he won't ask me out again if I don't do this or I don't wear this. What are you
Right.
doing? So it's the same thing. Be you. And there will always be people that you connect with. Like you said, Ronit, this is why you have this group. And we're hoping from this episode that not just people in the Jewish community, but all communities will start to come together. I have a lot of friends in different religions that feel isolated, they're in their 50s, 60s, the kids are gone, and they're like, I feel alone, maybe their husband passed away, they're divorced, whatever. Building communities. We want to try and build communities. So people reach out to us. We can help you build community, your own community, whatever that is. You want to build Christian community and do Bible groups at your house, whatever it is, but never change your core values. Never change and don't allow a group of people who are terrorists or walking the line with terrorists take away what you are. So go do the inflatable. Go wear the outfit that you want to
Right.
wear. Go wear the Star David. If you're Catholic, wear the cross. Like live your life. And the thing of it is, at the end of the day, whether you believe in God or not, whether you believe in whatever, Allah, whatever you believe in, I will say, if it is your time, trust me. I ended up backwards on a freeway. My car wasn't even touched, I don't know. It was not my time. And maybe people are listening going, well, I don't believe in that. If it's my time, then it's my time. Okay, fine. But the bottom line is go out, do what you need to. And if that means that you're no longer with us, at least you stood up for something. You believed in something. And that is very valuable.
Further than that, we should, at this point in time, you shouldn't be scared because that's exactly what people who don't like you want. We should be proud. You're absolutely right. Proud and clear about wanting to live. But I think it's very important to create light, pass that light, show that love, and don't allow all of this to make you negative. We have a lot looking good for us, and we should spread it.
You know, a lot of people that aren't Jewish or maybe don't know a lot about Judaism don't know there's so many wonderful pro-social values. Like, Catherine, you talked about feeding the homeless. Tikkun olam. It's a Jewish value to heal the world. And when people only see how Jews and, politicians and Jews have to react as a result of being attacked. This is a reaction as a result of being attacked. They don't realize that the Jewish values of Tikkun Olam are really how people live. You, Catherine, with Cat's Cause, feeding the homeless. My son did Sunday sandwiches as part of his bar mitzvah project. He did a Tikkun Olam project. And you, Ronit, being a light to the Jewish community, creating this community where singles have a place to go that's safe while all of this is going on around.
So I think that's a huge thing, is bringing back the light and love. We all have our feelings, but at the end of the day, we need to come together. We need to work as a village. Now, there's going to always be the outliers, right? The people that are just not going to do that. And that's okay. That's okay. But the bottom line is, and I hope what people take from this, because I'm sure some people will be listening to this and some will agree, some will not agree. Maybe they'll be upset with some of the things we said. But the bottom line is, if you really think about the person you want to be at the end of the day, bring goodness. Like, we don't have to agree on everything. We can agree to disagree, but be a good person. And if you're not a good person, there's help for that. There's ways that you can learn. But some people we're just not going to reach. And the bottom line is, for all you people that are saying, you know what? Yeah, I really would love to be a part of a group. I feel so alone. Reach out to us. We will find a way to get you into the community that's right for you. And that's what it's all about, is helping one another, being good, going beyond yourself. And you know what? I just realized that I didn't even get to sing a song. So I think I want to do that, because when I think about myself, I really love music. And so it made me think of the Whitney Houston song, I want to dance with somebody. But this really goes back to when loneliness calls. That's part of the song. So I've done all right up until now. It's the light of day that shows me how. And when the night falls and loneliness calls, oh, I want to dance with somebody. I want to feel the heat with somebody. And that's what it's all about. We just want to be with somebody.
Your voice is actually good.
I always say, do you? I had one of my friends, and I'm not going to mention his name, Marina, you know who it is. He'll say, Kat, you really can't sing. So why do you sing in your episodes? And I said, well, to each his own. Maybe you feel I can't sing, but I'm having fun. And I want other people to be empowered to get out there, do karaoke, live your life. You don't have to be perfect at everything. You don't have to, just do you. If you want to go and read poetry, read the poetry with the most enthusiasm. Doesn't matter if just don't be a hater. This is what I said. Just love me for me. And
You
that's
don't have
it.
to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. If your voice isn't beautiful, you can still sing and be proud of it.
Knowing me, I will still sing. Yes.
Yes, and the singing is always fun. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And of course, we'll post Ronit's group if you are Jewish, if you're single, if you're over 40 and you're seeking connection, we'll let you know where you could find her group. It's the Mingle Facebook group.
Under 70. Sorry.
Under 70, I guess it's not like a totally geriatric group. So, I'm sure
No.
there are some
Hey, now. I
rocking at
know
the old folks' home.
I know some women that are 80 and they have more energy than me.
So remember to also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Love Liaisons, Instagram, and now TikTok. Please like and follow us for more information.
I'm going to take a sip of my tea.
And I'll have another sip of my wine.
So keep sipping
Keep loving.
and keep laughing
Cheers.
from your love liaisons.